So meeting is being.
Thank you, Mr. Franklin.
Yeah, please proceed,
Yeah.
ma'am.
So good morning and a
Good
warm
morning.
welcome to our guests and members to today's webinar on general procedures for obtaining airworthiness certification in Indian defense industry and the 5th generation defense technology. I thank you for coming to this event. I'm Meena Goyal, the Executive Committee member of AIDAT, and it's my pleasure to be the host for today's event. Before we start the program, as a sign of respect, let's please put our phone on silent. We will be taking questions at the end and request that you may please post the questions on the chat box. A few words about AIDAT. AIDAT is the Aerospace and Defense Association, which is working closely with the Tamil Nadu government to assist and help all the Tamil Nadu companies to grow and scale up. We have over 110 members, patron as well as corporate. We cover the entire ecosystem, that is from design, manufacturing, service, post-service. And many of our members are getting lots of awards and recognition. We are very proud of all our members. We work closely with the Tamil Nadu government. We are participating in the Defense Expo. This year, along with the Tamil Nadu government, we have taken 660 square meters and we have about 25 companies which are participating. We also lead several international delegations for our members, and we are very hopeful of the growth and the support that we're getting from all of you. Thank you. Airworthiness certificate is a very important process, and Mr. Sundaram, Managing Director of Aerospace Engineers Private Limited, will now be sharing the general procedures and his hands-on experience in obtaining the same. To start the event, I would like to introduce our speaker, Mr. R. Sundaram. Though he's well known to all of us because we have been seeing him get so many awards and all, from topmost dignitaries and the Prime Minister. He is a star in the group. Mr. R. Sundaram is the founder and managing director of the Salem Park Aerospace Engineers Private Limited, which he established in 1988. They have all the relevant certifications. I'm not reading out the list. So far, AEPL has bagged 14 national awards and many more awards from state government and other institutions. The significant achievement is 2 national level awards from our Honorable Prime Minister of India, First Prize in Innovation 2014 and Defense Technology Absorption Award 2013. In 2014, he also got the DRDO Excellence National Level Award for Defense Technology Absorption from the Prime Minister. The CII South India Award, Southern Region Emerging Entrepreneur Award 2015 was received, and 2019 IEI Recognition Award for Eminence and Contribution to the profession of aerospace engineering. 2019, he also got the IE Centenary Industry Excellence Award for 2019. He was a recipient of Lean Manufacturing Techniques and Outstanding Entrepreneurship Awards given by Honorable Union Minister on February 2020. APL has won a long-term contract from Boeing to manufacture and supply critical aviation components and parts. The Salem Aero Park has manufactured more than 15,000 parts that comply with global aviation requirements with rigorous quality standards, which are ratified by authorities for military and civil aircrafts, Center for Military Airworthiness and Certification, CEMILAC, has accorded airworthy clearance for more than 1,200 approvals for use on aircraft, helicopters, missiles, civil aviation, and other systems, including rubber components. Also, in missile projects like BrahMos, Akash, Agni, Prithvi, and composite components for BrahMos, LRSAM missile for DRDL, and also for TAML are manufactured and supplied. A long-term contract with Egyptian Armament Authority recently one of the excellent contributions they did was during the COVID-19 about 75 parts and about 10,000 sets, ventilators and compressors were made and supplied within a span of 45 days. APL has participated in several global defense and aviation air shows, 10 times exhibited in Aero India air shows, DEF Expo, and international air shows like ILA Berlin Air Show, Singapore Air Show, Paris Air Show, DEF Expo, Africa Aerospace and Defense, Farnborough Air Show, Max Air Show, Egypt Defense Expo. I mean, we really could not get somebody more capable and, with the highest stars on him to give us a talk. I now request Mr. Sundaram to please educate us and share with us about the procedures and his experience of getting CEMILAC certification. Over to you, Mr. Sundaram.
Good morning, madam. Thank you, madam. Thank you very much for your kind introduction, and thanks AIDAT for this opportunity. Am I audible?
Loud and clear, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes. Thanks AIDAT for this opportunity provided me, and I can share my experience with you all. It's my pleasure. Thank you very much. First of all, aerospace and defense sector. I'm having a limited experience in aerospace and defense sector alone. And I entered in 1991 to make a small rubber components for defense applications. Slowly we entered into civil requirements, and presently we are having some export order, tier 1 order from Boeing, and we are negotiating with other big manufacturers also. I'm having a small presentation about the certification agencies. So here the passport we are calling, we can say passport. Passport is CEMILAC certification for entering into military airworthiness requirements. And parallelly, DGCA civil requirement. The DGCA is a big body available in India, and we have to get both their clearances through the coordination of DGAQA, MSQA, and respective authorities. And I'm having a small presentation. Just I want to share the presentation with you all. You can share. We can share the presentation, sir. Thank you, my dear friends. Thank you, Kalayar sir. Is it visible, sir? Full screen?
Yes, please.
Yeah. My dear friends, I am very, very happy. I am not an aeronautical engineer. I am, after all, polymer technologist. Entering into aerospace sector for making a small rubber parts and cockpit seals and all. Presently, these are all the flying machines using our components. So you name it, right from T-72, T-90 tankers and the military aircrafts, helicopter, and the missiles like BrahMos, Akash, and the aircraft, civil aircraft like Boeing, Airbus, and other, even submarine also we entered. And we have R&D sector, precision manufacturing, chemical processing, qualification. Next slide. Here, so in CEMILAC is the Center for Military Airworthiness and Certification. And CEMILAC is the body, the giving clearance for military stores. Those components are flying along with the military aircraft. CEMILAC clearance is mandatory. So the CEMILAC has introduced, created the design and development production of military aircraft and airborne stores. That's called shortly DDPMAS. The DDP mouse was developed in the year of 1999, and subsequently they upgraded into 2016. Right? 2016 or 17 they are modified also. So the DDP mouse is a Bible-like. So we once we want to develop the product for CEMILAC certification, the procedure has to be followed. Which procedure prescribed by CEMILAC through DDP mouse, it's a mandatory requirement. Parallelly, DGCA is a CAR 21. Civil Aviation Requirement 21 is a CAR requirement. That's called the CAR 21. The CAR requirements based on the Federal Aviation Authority requirements. My dear friends, when we are making the CEMILAC certification, 90% of the car requirements, so fulfilling with this thing, and they are having CEMILAC and DGCA having the bilateral arrangement. 70%, 80% of the test, when we are getting the CEMILAC clearance, we are doing some 70-80% tests. Both are accepting by DGCA, and the remaining test if you are conducting and you are doing the test as per civil requirements, automatically we are able to get the civil certification also parallelly. So that is a requirement. This is a mandatory requirement for making the parts for both military and civil. Once we are getting this DGCA clearance, civil requirements, automatically we are eligible for direct tier 1 supplier to Airbus, Boeing, Rolls-Royce, and so many companies. So the parallelly so many certification is required. QPL certification.
Rolls-Royce flight போடுறாங்க தலகா. பண்றாங்க. பண்ணிட்டு இருக்காங்க.
Pardon, sir? Interaction. Okay. Thanks. And we have a small introduction, DDP MOS policy, brief description of DDP MOS, and list of approval and conclusion. Here I want to introduce one Mr. Gokul. Gokul is working in aerospace engineers as a quality control manager. He is in charge of getting the CEMILAC and DGCA interaction, and he is having around 7-year experience with the certification processes. And presently he is doing so many parallelly. He is doing the certification. It's also. You take care of this. I am here only, sir. Okay. Sir, at the end of the presentation, I love to have the interaction with your team, sir. Okay, sir.
Great.
Take care.
Good morning to all. Myself Gokul from Aerospace Engineers. Nowadays, the development, all industries are being developing under the airworthiness related. So airworthiness related, they have some norms to enter into the military and as for the civils. For military, there is DDP MOS, Design and Development of Production of Military Aircraft and Airborne Stores. And for civil is a CAR 21, is a civil aviation requirement. These both are the major eye-opening for entering into the airworthiness sectors. For DDP MOS is saying about the design and development, how the organization is making the design, like a compound wise and component wise. So how we can see as an introduction. So design and development of airborne stores as keeping a continuous technical of aviation sectors. So how we are entering into the our military sectors, and how we want to design our product, and how we want to develop based on which technical specifications or customer requirement, how the stakeholders are entering into the sectors. Then this is the DDP MOS policy. What are the policies as saying that how the organization to enter and we want to get the approval in the military wise. So introduction of Indian military airworthiness and as an Indian military airworthiness framework and military air systems and airborne stores and design and developments like a DDP MOS and authorized productions air systems and airborne stores and bought out and continuous airworthiness and continued airworthiness and organization approval and indigenous of airborne stores. Now, this brief discussion about the DDP MOS, there are some retired categories for entire DDP MOS. So what are the roles and responsibilities of airworthiness and airworthiness certificate? What is the major thing of the airworthiness certificate? That we can see about the brief discussion of the DDP. So airworthiness is a continued airworthiness capability for the satisfaction of fulfill of the our requirements for the environmental, and it should be a safety and relatability of our environmental, and also the product what we are using, the user is using or designers, or it should be certified by military as it should be a safely and it's a well for the environmental. And airworthiness certification criteria, the fundamental guidance documents must be related to the standards or customized standard. So how we are developing our product through any standards or customer inputs. According to that, the airworthiness certification criteria will be progress. Then certificate of airworthiness. The certificate of airworthiness is saying about the system of the individual of air systems of the own certificate. For example, we are developing one product like for example, we are developing the O-ring according to the customer requirement. How we are designing that O-ring based on the which requirement, like a drawing or raw material. According to that, we want to do the qualifications as per the requirement. Then the certificate of airworthiness COA be approved. Continued airworthiness, it's taking a task of carry out a verifying of continuous the process like a type certificates. Subsequently, the continuous fulfillment, the organization to fulfill the requirement continuously while getting the approval. From the end of the approval, they want to continuously follow the quality. So they want to fulfill the requirements of military. What customized standard that we are developed, according to that, we want to fulfill the requirements. So that is the continued airworthiness. And airborne stores. Airborne stores is saying about the aircraft of helicopters, engine system, well as its equipments of extra for entire development and production is full and full. It's air engine system. So airborne store is a basic thing of for entering into the defense sectors. Then design and development agency. For example, the design and development agency is for example, our organization has a design and development agency for the military. So we are developing the n number of components by critical and non-critical products of aircraft, of air engines, of software, like that. We are developing our requirements based on the customer or some standard, so that we want to qualify by the regular organization or R&D laboratory. So as per the civil requirements, we want to qualify our item according to the development, and based on that, we want to get the approval. So design authority. Design authority is majorly for R&D establishment. So what are the items that we are developing? So for that, the design authority should be provided by RSMA or CEMILAC. Then design organization. Our organization is a design organization for the military. So that approval has been given by CEMILAC. It's under RCMA is under CEMILAC. So this air system and responsibilities should be based on our development. So design organization approval. So design organization approval is subsequently equal to design organization based on the airborne stores. Then POA. POA is a production organization approval. In the military side, the production organization approval will be given for manufacturing both as repair. So how the organization is developing and how the organization has been fulfilling the requirements of the customers or military or specifications based on the specification, how they are fulfilling, how they are following the systems, like that. So yearly 2 times as a surveillance audits will be carried out for the POA. So POA approval for a year, 5 years validity. In that yearly 2 years, the surveillance audits will be carried out for the POA approval. So quality assurance plans. Quality assurance plans for getting the military certificate. Quality assurance plans is a major role for taking, like a DGA QA, then MSQA, then ORDA QA. These 3 agency is the quality assurance agency. They are witnessing from the raw material stage to from the final stage of the inspection. They are witnessing and they are clearing the product according to the specifications or the customer requirement. Based on that, the item must be approved and they are provide the type certificates for the 5 years or now they are changed into 10 years. So this is a quality assurance. Quality assurance is entire for developing and manufacturing for the aeronautical products. In this military, there is one contract and subcontract agreement is there. So main contractor is maybe a developing and production agency, and subcontractor is for develop the item. What we have developed, the organization has been giving the subcontract for the main contractor has given the subcontract for the product. So we want to evaluate our subcontractor yearly twice, and we want to validate these contract suppliers according to the DDP MAS requirements. Then RCMA, Regional Center of Military Airworthiness, and CEMILAC. These are the main certification agency. This RCMA and CEMILAC has given the approval for the entire our compound and components. So how RCMA has taken the role in this? Initially, while we are developing the products or components, we want to provide the user letter from the customer side. According to that, we want to put one letter to RCMA with CC of CEMILAC. Based of that, we want to provide the specifications or the requirements along with that covering letter. We want to call the RCMA for witnessing our process. Along with the RCMA, ORDA QA is involved, like a quality team. They are involved and they are witnessed our process from step by step. According to that, the certificates we want to provide while fitment checkup we want to provide, and functional test and performance test, that reports we want to enclose along with the QTP. The QTR should be given to the RCMA and Semilac. Based on that, the ATP, acceptance test procedure, we want to prepare, how our product will be withstand, how much hour it will withstand. So entire details we want to provide to RCMA and Semilac. Then they may come and visit our process again once. After that, the fitment clearance will be provided by the user. According to that, the RCMA and Semilac as providing the approval for the particular organization according to their requirement. Then technical specification. Technical specification, our earlier discussion, I told that technical specification or customer requirement based on the organization development. So whether they may get from the any like approved standard, NFL, DTD or BS, based on that we can develop our products. Otherwise, from end user, they are giving the drawings or their requirement. According to that, we want to develop our component or components. So based on that, the designs will be certified. Then type record and provision clear. Type record is for the military wise, the type record for the 5 years validity. It will giving for applicable drawings for the compound and components. Professional clearance is the 1 year validity, which was given by RCMA and it's final approved by Semilac. Then user acceptance. Once the type approval, they're having a validity of the 5 years. Once we want to be renewal our type approval process. We want to get the user acceptance, like a performance feedback. For example, in 2015, we are supplying one product along with the RCMA approval with end use applications. Then after 2020, we want to renew our approvals. Then we want to ask the performance feedback from the customer, where it is located, how it's a functional, how is the functional hours, how is the performance of the rubber compound or the metal product, how much hour is take carrying. Like that, the performance feedback should be provided from the customer. According to that, we can renew our type approval from 20 to 2025. So next 5 years, they are providing the renewal process used on the performance feedback. Then list of approvals. In military, there are list of approvals is for the process. For example, LTCC is a local type certification committee. It is for the critical and non-critical product. It is a lifetime clearance. Now there is no validity for this. So we can use based on the application, like for example, ALH, LUH or all airborne stores, we can use the LTCC approval. Professional clearance is for the critical product. It is a validity for the 1 year from compound or components level, both metal and non-metallic. Batch-wise clearance. Batch-wise clearance is applicable for the non-metallic side. Example, while developing, we want to mix 3 types of batches according to the different atmospheres. While based on that, they will give the approval like a batch wise. For example, A1, A2, A3. First, they will provide 1 year approval for A1 batch. Based on that, we want to supply and provide a feedback. Then we want to submit the document. Then they give to A2 batch clearance. Like that, total 3 batch wise clearance they will provide for the rubber component. Pre-production clearance for the critical products, same as the rubber compound. Metal and non-metal. So pre-production approval is also validities for 3 years. Then type approval for critical. Now type approval is 5 years. Now they are elaborated into LOTA. It is for the 10 years for critical products. A lifetime clearance is for both critical and non-critical product. Once the design has been changed from the particular organization. So we want to probably intimate to the RCMA or Semilac along with the following documents. Then the approval will be hold. Before that, it is a lifetime clearance for entire total design whether changing. Before that, it is a lifetime clearance. Now we are entering into the CAR 21. CAR 21 is a civil aviation requirement. Now civil aviation requirement is fulfilling under the CAR 21. There are n number of supports are there. Supports is there. Supports are saying about the each process. So now we say the objective of this thing. The objective of this CAR 21 is for qualifying the parts and appliances for using the civil aircrafts. Then application rules and regulation. Now, aircraft rules is 1937 and rule 57 as saying how we want to apply the applications for civil under CA form 34 and how we want to renewal the documents and how we want to follow, how we want to select the stakeholders and how we want to appoint the stakeholders, what are the qualifications should be required, how much years validity for the approval for ITSO and support JD. Like that, the application rules and regulation has been say about the products. Then categories of the parts and appliances. The category of the parts and appliances is in COT 21 as saying as ITSO and non-ITSO is a standard parts. ITSO is a technical standard organization, technical standard order. This TSO is saying that the requirement has been already given by FAA. So according to that, we want to develop and fulfill our standard requirement. Then the ITSO will be provided by DGCA. This is overall approval for FAA. Overall approval is provided by FAA. This we can supply in India. ITSO is an Indian Technical Standard Order. Non-ITSO product. Non-ITSO products is coming under the support JA and JB. It is for the one single customer we are frequently supplying, like a contract approval. So, for example, for ALH or LUH, we are frequently supplying means we can take a bilateral agreement between the JA and JB organization. Then this is a standard part. Standard part. One of the organization as having the POA approval, they can directly supply the product in the standard part basis. There is no qualifications is required because this organization is already certified by DGCA. So standard parts, whether COC and release authority signatory document is sufficient for supplying the standard parts. Then J and JB, as what we already discussed, the two kinds of approval, J for design the products. For example, J organization has given one requirement. According to that, we want to develop the product. Then the technical schedule also issued by J organization. According to that, we want to do the performance qualification and functional qualification for the particular product. So then JB organization, for example, JB organization who are fulfilling the requirement is the JB organization. They should already having the POA approval. So JB organization to develop the product as per the requirements, and we want to do the qualification test according to the products. The qualification test for the parts and appliances we are developed and we are fulfilled the requirement. According to that, the support JB approval will be provided by DGCA. And ITSO approval. ITSO approval is a airworthiness specified or DGCA to fulfill the requirements. For example, a support O is an Indian Technical Standard Organization. One organization has already got the POE approval. According to the support O has been issued. Support F is a production without production organization approval. So the organization from initial stage, they are not having the organization approval. So initially to manufacturing the test specimens or sampling part, we want to approach the DGCA to get the support F approval. It is validity for 1 year. Before that, we want to do all the qualifications and we want to regularize our POE from support G. So support G of the production organization approval for parts and products, parts and appliances. It is validity for 5 years. For the ITSO, there is no validity. It is a lifetime approval. But for products, for manufacturing the product, there is an approval for 5 years. It's coming under the support G. This is standard parts. What we already said, the standard parts may be designed and manufactured as we inspected or marking. The requirements can be done by the organization who are selling the product. But the standard parts as already qualified from certain standards. So we can supply the standard part based on the POE approval. And these are the certificates that we all got it from the production organization approval under COT 21 support G from DGCA.
Any certificate Zoom. Okay.
So these are the production organization approval, which was given by a southern region of Airworthiness. They are issued the approval certificate for AEPL for the hoses and aircraft seals. And this is ITSO C140. So ITSO C140 is for the hose assemblies. For we can use the application like a hydraulic fuel, engine oil, and airworthiness related process. This is ITSO approval. Then ITSO C150. ITSO C150 is an aircraft seals. So in this, we recently got the approval for ITSO C150A. In that, we are uploading our different types of profile seals, then O-ring, backup rings in the PTFE and rubber material we are enclosed, and we are qualified as per the ITSO C150A requirements, and our organization has got the ITSO A approval. So it's a conclusion. Thank you, Prabhu.
Thank you, sir. This is our presentation, and you've done a good job. Really, I loved it. That's all our presentation. So these are all the approval is mandatory.
Everyone to please mute if you're not speaking. Yes,
Yes,
Mr. Sundaram, you would like to share a few of your own experience or words?
yes, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you very much, ma'am. Thank you. Thank you, sir. Thank you, my dear friends. If you have any query, we can.
We will take the questions at the end. And thank you, Mr. Sundaram and Mr. Gokul. A very detailed information, very, very helpful to all of us. We will now come to our second speaker of the day. The fifth generation defense technology is the future warfare that is conducted primarily through non-kinetic military action such as social engineering, misinformation, cyber attacks, along with emerging technologies such as artificial intelligence and fully autonomous systems. Mr. Sai Pattabhiraman, Managing Director of Zupa Neo Navigation, will be sharing the technology infused in the fifth generation warfare. Before the talk, I would like to introduce Mr. Sai Pattabhiraman briefly, though all of us know him very well. Mr. Sai Pattabhiraman is a founder of Zupa Neo Nav Tech and has nurtured and built India's first and only fifth generation technology centric company. He is thought leader, defense innovation, and fifth generation enabling technologies as his expertise. In his own words, he embarked on a journey to be among a handful of companies around the world having drone motherboards, autopilots. He got there only to see drones being banned in India. He converted this huge setback to the biggest strength over the last 4 to 5 years. They are now the only Indian design to delivery manufacturers of embedded electronics in the areas of vehicle telematics, high accuracy RTK GPS products, drones, ADAS. Zupa has developed multiple edge computing products that are key enablers to roll out of downstream Gen 5 technologies like drones, IoT, connected mobility, smart cities, to name a few. All of these are also finding applications in defense. Zupa now is a reputed name in defense innovation ecosystem for cutting-edge indigenous products and technology. May I now invite Mr. Sai Pattabhiraman to please share with us about the fifth generation technology.
Well, good morning, everybody. Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So after the sterling, the description of how to get certification and move on to the international level in terms of supply of components and parts to various international organizations by Mr. Sundaram and his team, I now, take you all on a bit of a future journey, because that's where we think that, there is a lot of business opportunities and a lot of value to be, leveraged going forward in the future. Now, this is not the first time that me and Mr. Sundaram on the same panel. We were there earlier on a SITM panel together. And there again, it was, in the similar kind of thing where we was talking about make in India kind of products for, which were indigenization of existing and used, what is being used by defense forces. And I myself, as usual, was talking about what is going to be the likely opportunities in future. Now, coming down to my part of this program, as many of you all would know, but I'll just brush it through quickly now, to say that there are two or three real streams by which innovation is being looked at from the defense perspective. One is the AIDAT program and the Make-2 program, which allows for innovation either with funding from the defense or on your own funding with a guaranteed order at the end of it. And the other is the programs of TDF that are there with DRDO. So let me just start sharing my screen. If you could just give me the permission to share my screen. So I'm really proud to be a AIDAT member, because AIDAT has been doing a lot of good things for the aerospace and defense ecosystem in Tamil Nadu. And there are a lot of stakeholders, along with now the Defense Corridor Initiative. There are stakeholders like TIC and TIDCO, which are really supporting innovation and defense manufacturing in Tamil Nadu. So it's really a proud moment for me to be presenting on a program that is being conducted by AIDAT. Now, if you look at fifth generation technology, there's always been this, in the civil world, you always talk about 5G, which is the fifth generation. And normally, the moment anybody refers to 5G, we immediately talk about the telephone network. But that's not the case. The telephone network is only a part of the entire process of the fifth generation. It starts from collection of data from things all the way up to delivery and analysis of data. So that is also going to be a critical factor that is there in the in the defense as well. And this would, one of the critical things that the fifth generation technologies would be doing is to be enabling enabling remote operation of the and remote being able to attack from a position which is not known to the other side. Now, this was clearly demonstrated in the case of the recent or the 2020 Azerbaijan-Armenian war, where the drones were very key decisive factors, and the havoc that they wreaked in a in a very short time by taking off a lot of very critical resources of the Armenian army and the Armenian defense forces, was something which actually led to the surrender and more or less a victory for Azerbaijan. And this was led by the Turkish drones and the Israelis. So this actually is what is this was a war that has revealed what fifth generation technology can really do in the case of a future warfare. Now, some of the challenges that are there in this future warfare scenario are one is you have an unseen enemy attacking from a place you don't know where. Second is unmanned remotely operated vehicles and systems, including aerial and ground vehicles, are continuously collecting information and data, and that can be used instantaneously and in real time. Now, all this requires a lot of use of radio frequencies. So there is going to be one of the key challenges is going to be optimal use of radio frequency, available radio frequency bandwidth, because there is only that much finite amount of finite amount of bandwidth that you can use for any particular use case. And so the enemy would also be using similar bandwidths, similar frequencies and similar bandwidths. So you should be able to distinguish. So radio frequency is going to become a very critical element on which a lot of work would need to be done for future warfare. Then there are other things like, with all these kind of improvements, there is bound to be a lot of additional equipment that the troops would have to carry. And for that, there are there are things like exoskeletons and others being worked on to be able to enable the troops to carry larger loads. Now, in addition to that, there would be directed energy weapons where you're talking about the use of sound, heat, and light. Lasers are already in use. Sound will also come into use, and possibly and heat would also find ways of being used in the directed energy weapons. Now, the electronic layer is what has caused all these challenges. As you see that, in the case of the Armenian-Azerbaijan war, the electronic layer of being able to control, being able to see the enemy from without being seen, being able to attack the enemy without them knowing about it, being able to control an unmanned vehicle at a long distance and use it to be very precise. These are all functions of the electronic layer that I had talked about earlier. So hence the solution for this also lies in the electronic layer, where connected situational awareness is going to be a key to the future of warfare. Now, the connected situational awareness would require, would be involving a lot of data points, both image as well as, basic data coming in from various different sources, getting them together. So the sources could be unmanned ground aerial vehicles, unmanned ground vehicles, loitering munitions, wearables, augmented reality glasses, tanks, APCs, armored personnel carriers, and the works, and a whole lot of, equipment that is used. All of them would have to be connected for, for each and every person taking part in the operation to be having a complete awareness of what is going on around. And this is going to be critical, because without one of the key aspects where the, Armenian troops lost out is because they are not aware as to where these things are coming from. Their awareness is very poor. So unless the awareness levels are improved, the sphere of awareness is, changed from the immediate to a much larger, area of operation. The threats to, defense personnel as well as defense, equipment is going to be significantly there, and that is where the situational awareness is going to be critical. Situational awareness in terms of, the use of RF is also going to be a critical factor, as I had mentioned earlier. So enhanced battlefield situational awareness is for every individual taking part in the operation is going to be critical. Now I'll just give you as a kind of a case study, because very often, without really, something futuristic can be understood only when we're talking about whether it is being done today or whether it is in the process of being done. And if you talk something very futuristic without giving an understanding of what exactly you're talking about, so I'm presenting you the case of Zupa from the perspective of a case study on what are the various things that we have done to get into this area of situational awareness. Now, just to give a brief background, we have Zupa is among recognized by the Department of Science and Technology to be among one of the critical, one of the most innovative companies. We have our own, patented proprietary system of control computing. Now, this is, this has been, it's under release at the Indian side and it's been published on the WIPO. Now, what exactly is the DPCC? Now, the DPCC is a replication, an artificial intelligent replication of the human intelligence. The human intelligence, now suppose you were to go from point A to point B, you're planning to go from your home to the airport. Now, there are various things that happen when you go along. Some of that requires immediate reflex action to be taken immediately without really thinking too much. And the other requires, longer term action to plan your route. So we have practically, kind of replicated the human brain's functioning in an electronic chip, and it kind of works in the similar way. Now, we found that due to that, we've been able to get much better efficiency. We've got 10x increase in throughput and 25x increase in output correction frequency. So these are some of the technical aspects. Now I'll go further into the application part of it. Now, we've used our technology specifically in 3 areas. Now, one is the Navgati autopilot, which, kind of replaces man in an unmanned electronic control system. Then we've used the DPCC technology for, real-time throughput of image processing, which has been done for the see-through armor, which we did as our partners, Big Bang Boom. And then we are looking at using it for vision-based systems in the defense. We have used it on automotive, on automating tractors at various tractor manufacturing organizations like John Deere and others, for what you would call as driver-assisted or driverless capabilities. Now, we come to the point that during the process of working with an autopilot, we use GPS-based navigation. So if we can navigate and control a vehicle remotely using GPS, we can also collect data. We can also transmit it wirelessly. So we have used that to create the edge computing device, which is a data accumulation device, which is used in industrial IoT, asset tracking, and connected mobility. And now, this is something that even defense is now interested in, primarily because we are talking about Internet of battlefield Internet of things on battlefield, as well as or what you would call as the Internet of military things. And that's what, is a part of the situational awareness factor. Now, our primary product is, what is our anchor product, as we call it, is the Navgati Autopilot, which is a completely indigenous autopilot for unmanned systems, which has been used on drones, on ground vehicles, as well as surface vehicles on water. And it has also been used for the ADAS application of STA, where a product we developed with our partners, Big Bang Boom Solution, has cleared the, Army trials and is now set to possibly move on to the next level. I'll cover that in a more detail a little later. So the Navgati Autopilot is a fully indigenous product, and it has an application interface which is called as ZIPE, on which applications can be built using SOMs or SOCs like Raspberry Pi, BeagleBone, Arduino, or even your own SOM, to expand the applications on it and use it for specific use cases that you might want to use. And we are already working with organizations like DRDO and a couple of private organizations as well on this particular product for drones as well as for unmanned ground vehicles. So it is a very low latency system, primarily because it works very similar to the human brain. So it's got one core that completely handles only reflex action, and the rest of it which handles planned action. So thereby what we've done is we've been able to split the autopilot's abilities to control unmanned vehicle. Now this is the ground station, because every one of these things require remote access. You have to be able to command it. You have to be able to track it. So all these things is done on Disha, which is our ground control station software, which is again purpose built for the Navgati, which is again a completely indigenous product. And it has an embedded software black box which records a lot of your parameters. So even if you do have certain untoward crashes with your drone, you can analyze and figure out what has gone wrong and where the problem is. Now, this is going to be a product that we are going to be launching very soon into the Indian market, specifically also targeting the DJI drones that are there in the defense ecosystem. Plus, it also has civilian applications in the form of training drones, in the form of for training, for surveying and mapping, for videography, for surveillance, and various other applications. So this is basically a commercial off-the-shelf drone, which means you can buy the drone as a box. You don't need to order it and wait for it. And this is exactly going to be at the kind of, in terms of feature as well as price, this is going to be very similar to any of the DJI drones. And it's a completely indigenous product, having a completely indigenous autopilot. So thereby you would be, of course, initially there are some foreign components, but over a period of time, over the period of next 6 to 8 months, we're looking at, indigenizing most of the electronic components, barring those that cannot be made at scale in India due to availability of raw material, the scale of operations. But otherwise, the rest of the drone is a fully indigenous. Now, this is a product that I talked to you earlier. We had made it with, in a partnership with Big Bang Boom Solutions. They were an IDEX recipient of the STA order, and we've completed the user trials for this, and this is now at the kind of final stages of a tender being issued, and this is one of the most successful products from the IDEX group of products. Now, this is a product that we developed in less than 6 months. And this is where our DPCC technology has been used for, image processing. And the latency levels are so low that actually a 15-ton tank can be driven, without even by looking at the video feed alone. So this is an interesting product because it builds a 360-degree capability thanks to 6 camera sets. And it allows the commander and the driver to it will give different visualizations to them as they want it and as they way in the direction in which they are looking. Now, in addition to that, we are working on a visual radar for anti-drone, which is based again on the same STA kind of technology, where we are looking at a long range of about 3.5 minimum kilometers on a decent day, and on a good clear day, possibly even much longer, up to about 7 kilometers zoom out. And we are using block cameras in these to be able to zoom. And there would be cameras covering the entire 360 degrees to spot those. And this is primarily being developed because one of the key factors in anti-drone is really detection of the drone. Once you detect it, there are a lot of options for neutralizing it, but detection from a very short distance doesn't help because of the speed at which the drones travel. So it practically is on you even before you detect it. So this is one of the products that we're looking at developing, a visual 360 radar. Now coming to the edge device. Now the edge device is something which we are already working in the civilian sector. We've sold over 8,000 pieces of these. These are operational across various applications like cold storage, cold chain logistics, simple vehicle tracking, as well as monitoring of IoT, industrial IoT solutions on machines. Then it was also used for the cold chain for vaccines. Now we are working on with customers like Geo and Bosch and others on the civilian side. Now this particularly is of interest to the military side because this is what actually would be the connecting factor in terms of the situational awareness part of it. And this is what will connect various assets and identify and help the frontline forces to identify friend from foe based on certain patterns which would emerge as these are. So this is something that the military is already interested in and which we are already in discussions with. Now, as I mentioned earlier, now detection of RF frequencies is also another critical factor. So we have worked on RF detection finder, and we have demonstrated it to some of the defense units, and it has been appreciated. We've done it at the level of soldier level, but this can be scaled up to. It has the potential of being scaled up to much larger levels. So Zupa, as such, we envisage ourselves to be, emerging as a chip level company at a future date, and we see ourselves to be one of the, companies who would be making semiconductors level microprocessors, because both the edge and the Navgati can be scaled to the semiconductor level. Now, there are one of the way forward that we are working on, that we are looking at working with members in the AIDAT space as well as with other people in the defense projects, is to work on make-to projects where we work on the core electronic part of it. And we can work on drone projects together. The autopilot could be there. Data centric projects could also be worked on where our edge devices can be used to collect data. And I think there are collaboration and among stakeholders is what is critical for making these products in India. And I think the huge opportunity in Make2 as well as in other areas as making components and indigenous substitution, import substitution. These are all opportunities that are there in the defense space, and I think this is something we should be looking at jointly, seriously with a lot of companies. Now, as I see it, one of the factors that I thought I would also show, which we are working with AIDAT as a kind of to put together a consortium, is to see whether we can bid for the medium range precision kill system Make2 project that is there. And we look forward to support from TIDCO and other stakeholders in the Tamil Nadu ecosystem for, which is for the defense ecosystem. And plus, we are looking at working with both AIDAT members and others who would like to be involved. And we're looking at putting together a consortium where Nels and us would be looking at the electronic parts. There would be opportunities in the power, payload, and the airframe areas. and design areas. I would just also like to add that we are, as a supply chain, we are into electronic manufacturing. So as electronic manufacturing, as a company into electronic manufacturing, anybody who would like to work with us on the supply chain in terms of components, in terms of PCBs, in terms of system design, we are more than open to work with. And the other thing I would like to mention here was that as we have shown that from these slides, I've given a general understanding of what the 5th generation technologies and the opportunities it holds. And I definitely see a huge potential for India to grow in this space, because it is, most countries now are contemporary with India in terms of position in the 5th generation space. No country is ahead of us. We are fairly close behind, if not equal to. So I think we should be looking at a fairly good level of business opportunities in the 5th generation space. And those companies who are looking at growing in the 5th generation space, whether it be for batteries, whether it be for exoskeletons, whether it be for electronics, I see a huge potential, and I think we should move into that area, because that is also an area which will help Indian companies to leverage a lot of exports, which already people like Mr. Sundaram are doing to companies like Boeing, and they're showing us that it can be done. And I think the new areas is where we should be looking at taking it forward. So thanks a lot. Nice having been a part of this presentation. Look forward to your questions in the Q&A session. Over to you, Meena.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Pattabhiraman. That was really excellent. And you really make us proud, to be in top or along with the world, not trailing, not learning, to be there. I think that is really, really excellent. And all these opportunities to collaborate and work along with you, that is really nice. I think this will really help Tamil Nadu and all our members. We will now be taking the questions. May I now request our secretary, the youngest and dynamic member, office bearer, to please take care of the questions and the voting lines.
Yeah, thank you so much, Ms. Meena Goyal. Thank you so much for your support. First of all, I would like to thank both Mr. Sundaram and his team, also Mr. Sai. Now we have very limited questions. Also, I have asked the participant to put forward their questions in the chat box. Few of the questions, first, already your team has explained about the approvals, type approvals, and they in that they specifically talk about LTCC, and also they talked about critical and non-critical type approvals. So could you please little bit elaborate about the type approval, and in that what are the things will go for, what are the components, how they classify as a critical and non-critical?
Okay. Yes, sir. The critical and non-critical. Non-critical, generally the stationary parts are non-critical, and generally the standard parts like O-rings and are not rotable, fixed parts, sir. These are all categories to critical part, all rotable parts. Rotable spares, hydraulics, pneumatics, all are critical, sir. So non-critical is standard parts, fixed parts, not rotable parts. Those are all comes under this is internationally they categorize that. So the same category as CEMILAC also following. For the LTTC, Local Type Test Certification Committee, comes under a majority of non-critical parts. And critical parts in the sense it's only some stationary parts.
Got it. And for critical application, what kind of approvals? You said type, in type you said LTCC and also other types. So can you little bit elaborate on those?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Sir, generally the LTTC type, we are able to get it within 6 months or 9 months time. We are able to get the LTTC approval for non-critical parts, like the standard parts and other this thing. Critical parts like even cockpit seal. We entered in the aerospace field through cockpit seal, making cockpit seal for Kiran aircraft, and presently all the other aircrafts also having cockpit seal manufactured by our company. And cockpit seal generally took 18 months to 24 months for getting the approval and all. First, the base material has to be type certified. Then after base material got similar clearance, then we are able to produce the parts then it has to go for ground test, then it's a flight test. Like that, these are all the time bound, these things, sir. It took nearly 18 months and 24 months also sometimes.
Got it. Got it. Now you are a tier 1 supplier and you have a DPUC who gives the order. Now the RCMA and the Semilac is in between. So how you work with, whether you need to work with the DPUCs and DPUC will give the direction to the Semilac to do it, or you have to directly go to Semilac, get the approval and then go to DPUCs?
No, DPSU is not coming these things, sir. They will support to provide some requirement and all. Base like passport, I already told that Semilac certification for the base material of my product, I mean rubber parts. So the base material, as long as having the valid approval, then the DPSUs are coming and we are eligible to code for DPSUs with this existing approvals. Then if we become lowest, then they are giving the purchase requirement to us. Based on the purchase requirement, we are approaching Semilac or RCMA. So they cannot directly interact with the DPSUs, cannot interact directly to the thing. They will support us.
Got it. So Semilac plays a major role.
Yes, sir. And the qualification test schedule and qualification requirement like that, we have to prepare the qualification test schedule duly coordinated with the main contractor. Gokul in his presentation, he put main contractor and subcontractors. With the help of main contractor, this, for example, HAL, Hindustan is our main contractor for many activities. We need to prepare a qualification test schedule with the coordination of Hindustan Aeronautics Limited, and they will process this, then they will give the coordination, and then finally DGAQA and Semilac, the committee, they will approve the qualification test schedule first for critical parts. After approving the qualification test schedule, we have to test in the NABL laboratory or DRDO laboratory or Hindustan HAL laboratory with the coordination of DGAQA. This type of work, it will take some time, sir. 3 months or 6 months. We need to coordinate the certification agencies.
Got it. Now, one important question.
Yes,
Now, a lot of the localizations we are doing from Russia or from a European company.
yes.
Now, the particular component specification may not be available in India. So you need to go for a substitute equivalent to that property. In that cases, how much the challenges, what are the challenges you have to prove that whatever the proposed material is equivalent or same as it is?
The raw material is concerned, in my experience, I'm a basically polymer man. For making the polymer products, I'm importing. You are talking about raw material, right? Or specifications, sir?
No, I'm talking about raw material availability.
Raw material we are importing only, sir. We are getting the imported raw material. In my case, even metallic also, 80% of the material we are importing only, sir. In India, only few materials are available. That too from Midani like companies. Midani, you may be aware of that. It's a DRDO forum. We are unable to get the material from Midani for a small company like us. So they are supporting to Hindustan and DRDO requirements and BrahMos requirements, sir. Better we can import the material from Russia and other countries like that. And the specification also, specification is concerned, when the original OEM required Russian standard, we need to go for Russia only earlier. Now the Semilac is slightly in the listening mode and they can help us to accept this thing. Actually, actual requirement is Russian specification. If we are using the European material, they are accepting, sir. Semilac, if the properties meets, Semilac is giving the clearance to accept the European material instead of Russian material. So they are accepting, sir. Semilac is accepting and they are all supporting for indigenization.
Excellent. Excellent. Now to Mr. Sai, is there any type approval for drones? You're on mute. You're on mute.
Yeah. Recently, in the month of January, there has been a publication where the type approval process for drones for the civilian part of it has been clearly specified, and there is organizations and agencies which would take part in it. It has to be applied online through the Digital Sky platform, and there is a form called as D1 that needs to be filled there. And once that is, and that has a lot of criteria in terms of attachments that are required, in terms of certification for batteries, process certification, type of product, you know, wireless, wireless planning, equipment type approval for use of wireless equipment. All that is required to be filed in with the drone type approval when you file it in. Then there are organizations like TQ and a couple of others who have been paneled to verify and approve the drone certification. Now, in terms of the military side of it, now there is, the fact that there are lakhs of Chinese DJI drones already there in the military ecosystem clearly shows that there the certification for CARTS drones is not there. For commercial off-the-shelf drones is not there yet in the military space. But yes, there would be, over a period of time, we see that evolving. And I think one of the key factors that should be mentioned here is that I think the speed at which the defense and the army is now looking for technologies that can be adapted from the commercial world or from the outside world for defense use has been, kind of hastened quite a bit by the involvement of Army Design Bureau. And Army Design Bureau is very, very active and proactive in looking for technologies which they can adopt into the defense requirements from the civilian space. And I think those are all initiatives that are going well to, for getting in innovative products into the defense ecosystem. So that's one thing that has been major improvements.
Great, thank you. And you told about that you are the one Indian company who makes the autopilot in India for the drone system. So few of the participants has some kind of a power source requirement or power source as a supply, and they are requesting whether they can able to be as you are into the supply chain partnership.
Definitely. We are looking at partners for that area. And, as I said, our intention going forward is to go more deeper and deeper into the electronic space, into the semiconductors level. And that's what we vision ourselves to be, a semiconductor company at the latest. So we definitely are looking for partners who would be able to put together various systems and meet requirements as they come up, with us being as their electronic partners.
Great. Now, the Israelis is really doing very good products in the drone system. How do you challenge them from the India market? Because India and Israel have a good cooperation on the defense business. So how do you see this, the cooperation of Israeli companies or cooperation of Israeli government will be good? Or Indian companies are having a challenge, or you see as an opportunity to grow together?
The way I see it is that, I think the Ministry of Defense is quite clear now on the fact that a lot of the unmanned aerial systems or unmanned aerial vehicles and unmanned applications, at least at the smaller end, have come under the banned item list, even for defense, which means they necessarily need to be sourced from Indian companies, either Indian partners of Israeli companies or Indian companies per se on their own. Now, I see a huge opportunity there, because as a core autopilot level manufacturer, we see that we can replace a lot of the products that are currently being imported, both in the unmanned category, both in the aerial as well as the ground vehicles, as well as the surface vehicles. And what needs to come together is, as we are working in, as we've already proposed and working in AIDAT on the medium range precision kill, where companies could come together. Of course, there are funding challenges that would be there for small MSPs and small companies to come together to do that. But that is where I think, the organizations like TIC or TITCO should, give us support to develop specific products and get it to the market. But I think once something like that is there, we definitely can give a challenge to the Israeli companies, and it's not difficult to do that. And the fact that Turkey as a country has already been able to do it, and give a challenge to the Israelis. I don't see why Indians couldn't give a challenge.
Great, thank you. Now, the question to Mr. Sundaram.
Ah,
Now,
yes.
see, one sub-assembly, we get the type approval for a vendor A. There are some small components are available. All of a sudden, one supplier is not available. Can the type approval person can source the non-approved or unapproved component and submit it along with this, the type approval of the A person?
Correct, sir. It is actually, this is, we have to do the product, replace the product. We want to replace one new bill of material. That's what you
Yeah.
were question, right, sir?
Yes.
So
Yes.
the one LRU we developed and we got the type certified, and the bill of material is, for example, say 50 bill of material. Out of 50, 2-3 products we want to replace. That's what you want to this thing, sir. Your
Replace
question.
which is not shown in the first type approval list.
Yeah. It is slightly tough only, sir. It need to be qualified again.
Okay.
We need to.
So it
get
needs
the-
to go for again a requalification of complete.
Yes.
Then
Sir,
we need to
even
wait for 9 months.
change of the place, change of the even change of the operators also. We need to go. There is a Federal Aviation Authority type certification procedures. If you are changing the location, changing the machine, changing the operator, we need to go for new qualification. Boeing and all, they are very strict like that, sir. But changing the operator, changing the location, it's okay. But changing the supplier, changing the manufacturer, we need to convince the similar with supporting the documents and giving the new qualification like that, sir. It is mandatory, sir. It is mandatory.
Great, sir.
Yes.
Nice to know that. Thank you. And I may request if any of the participant want to ask any question, you can unmute and ask, or you can put it on the chat box. We'll wait for a minute.
Okay, 1 minute. Actually, I have not shared my products. If
that's what I'm going to come, sir. That's what I'm going to come, because if there is no question, I may request you to share your company profile for a minute or two, so that participants, some of the people can be your supplier, or they can be, you can be their customer also. So may I?
Franklin, can I raise a question?
Yes, please, Mr. Vasu, please.
Good morning, Mr. Sundaram.
Good morning.
My name is Vasu. I'm with Natation Synchrocons. We have a question. If we change location, I know you talked about change in location for machines and operator from plant A to plant B, it is shifting. Possibly some change in operators also. Does that mean the certification, the type testing has to be renewed again, or can we continue with the old?
Sir, it is not mandatory, sir. It is, but ISRO and all, they are all very much insisting on the changing the location. We need to have the calibrate the gauges and all, sir. But if you are not having the testing, only manufacturing you want changing, means you can convince the similar, because the new places is better than the existing one, and there is no change in the quality. We are getting the better quality in the new places like that if we can convince. But the calibrated equipments, it is there. It has to be slightly tough only, sir. We need to convince the airworthiness authorities. And
I missed the first part of your presentation, so I'd really appreciate if we can get the video shared on your certification.
Yes, sir.
The recordings we are doing now. After this program, you will get the recordings. I saw your message also. We'll be.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Sundaram.
Yeah. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Anybody want
to presentation, sir?
1 minute, so we'll ask anybody, or else I'll give it.
Okay.
Anybody want to ask any questions or any doubt with 5th generation technology, defense technology, or on the certification? One more chat box we got. Okay, can you share the presentation? Yes. I think, sir, nobody is right. So I may request Salem Aerospace to share your product portfolio so that people can see quickly.
Oh, 10 minutes, sir. It's needed 10 minutes time. It's okay, no? 10 to 12
Okay,
minutes.
sir. Please.
Okay. Thank you very much for this opportunity, sir. You please arrange for the
The slideshow, if you make it, it will be better. Go back, sir. Just go back.
Full screen, sir?
Yes, 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 please.
Okay. This is the first page. These are all the flying machine using our products, sir. Our products are flying with these machines. Yes. And we started in the year of 1988, sir. Exactly 32 years completed, and now we are into 33 years we have completed. Initial days and all, initial 4-5 years working with the industries like oil field, power sectors, and Bharat Electric, BHEL like that, sir. And entered into defense aerospace in the year of 1988 itself. So initial days under tankers and the base repair depot, missiles, DGP like that, sir. Yes. We have two manufacturing setup. One is in Salem. Salem, we have around 20 acres facility. We are having around more than 1.5 lakh square feet covered building. We are having in Salem facility. And parallelly, Hosur also, we have around 1.3 lakh square feet covered building. Covered building, it's just Sipcot, Hosur Sipcot, we are having our second unit, sir. Yes. And these are all the certification we have. AS 9100, ISO 14,000, 45,000, NATCAP, NABL, ITSO, DGAQ certified, Semilac, CE marking. And fortunate, thanks to government in the last 2020 and 21, we are all making a healthcare product like ventilator parts, sir. And we are ZTD gold rating. We got it from Government of India. And these are all the departments available in the R&D, high precision rubber parts, composite molding, LRUs, testing facility. And the rubber, I'm being a rubber technologist and I'm from MIT. And we have around 122 compounds. We are having the Semilac certification, Semilac, DGCA, and Boeing approval we have for this type of variety of parts for international aerospace standards, sir. It may be DIN, DG, the DTD, NFL, etc. Military specification, HM, etc. These are all the parts, rubber parts. The red color parts are all high temperature parts for flame proof connectors. It can be used up to 950 degrees centigrade for short time. And many products are bladders and oil accumulators, rubber profiles, thermal boots for space agencies, and the rotary shaft seal. These are all the LRUs for helicopter, aircraft, Sukhoi aircrafts like that. These are all the composite component for BrahMos, Akash, Agni, LRSM missiles, and other missiles also we are doing, sir. And this is a typical cross-sectional view of the cockpit seal, sir. There's a cockpit seal. Here I want to say about cockpit seal. Cockpit seal is the first part developed by our company. In the year of 96, they got the type certification from Semilac for Kiran aircraft, sir. Presently, our Indian aircrafts, military aircrafts are using our cockpit seal for all the aircrafts. You name it, any flight. It may be Kiran, Jaguar, IJT, MiG-21, MiG-27, Sukhoi, Hawk, and even helicopters like advanced light helicopters, light utility helicopter, light combat helicopter. All aircrafts are having our inflatable seals. The seals are inflatable. When we are closing the cockpit, automatically the cockpit seal should be inflated, and the pressurized cockpit should be pressurized. It has to take care of the cabin pressure for whole flight of 4 hours, 5 hours, 6 hours like that. It has to take care. And we are giving guarantee for 800 flying hours for our cockpit seals. We are having in the test rig, it undergo more than 5,000 cycles, usable cycles, life cycles. So then we are giving guarantee for 800 flying hours. And this is a rubber fuel tank. It's a flexible fuel tank. It's used for the helicopters, even unmanned vehicle like Rustam 1, Rustam 2. And we are negotiating with a company like GK in aerospace in the UK also. And this is a helmet and the mascot hose assembly for the pilot and other this thing, underwater missiles also, underwater applications also they are using, sir. It's next. And the hydraulic hoses and connectors for the hoses assembly, thrust TVC assembly, it's for missile direction, it takes care of the direction of the missile, and the rear fin assembly for the Boeing 777 aircraft, it's a Boeing part, and the BND assembly, booster nozzle diversion conversion assembly we are making, roller lifter assembly for the export project, and the rotor mass steel for advanced light helicopter, lubrication oil pump for all the fighter aircrafts and helicopters, jet assembly, like that, so many assemblies we developed, sir. Gearbox mount, solenoid valve assembly, actuators. And these are all the healthcare product. 40 types of different types of components indigenous for CV200 ventilator on 2020. Yes, 2020. Yes. And this advanced technology division, and we are into underwater swamps. AUV we are developing, and we are developing working with NSTL for the underwater swamps. And we received 14 awards from various agencies, 3 from the Honorable Prime Minister of India, and other activities. They're all encouraged. We started with Hindustan Aeronautics Limited, and presently we are having the customers like this. And our upcoming project in Hosur, and we have a 3-meter machining facility, and we are making some wings for one missile program, having 2 units at Salem and so, and we are very much happy with India, maybe the hub for world market, and we are having the bright future for our Indian environment. Unfortunately, Tamil Nadu, we are expanding more in Hosur. We are expecting more support from our government. Government also, Tamil Nadu government is giving more support through TAEC, TIPCO. They are funding like anything, and our present CMD, we arranged 3 programs, sir. Salem program, Trichy, Madurai, Chennai, and shortly going to be happened in Hosur also. For defense corridor, they are giving more and more support. It's a great time for our friends who can join in the aerospace and defense sector and strengthening the Tamil Nadu defense corridor and make many products for our Indian skies and stop imports, and we can start exporting also. Even usually Dr. Kalam, I was with Dr. Kalam for 7.5 years, sir, before presidency. And he was usually telling, learn from India, learn from abroad. So we can learn many things in India, and we can make use of the technology, and we can manufacture the product and stop imports, and we can export the product and getting this thing profit from business value from abroad countries. Friends, I want to say only another 1 minute, because the CEMILAC certification and DGCA certification, the Middle East country and African countries, they are accepting our CEMILAC certifications. As long as we are having the CEMILAC and DG certification, we can add on small test, and we can convince the African countries. Through this type of activities, we convinced Egyptian Armament Authority, and we secured an order in the year of 2020 for a period of 5 years. We are making the products in Salem and sending the product to Egyptian government, and we have to take care of their Air Force requirement for a period of 5 years. So it is an opportunity. So all the business we are having, we can approach for foreign, as long as we are having the valid approval. Then with this approval, we can approach the foreign countries also for supporting with our technology to their requirements. It is an opportunity. Kindly join hand, and we can do wonders under Make in India and Atmanirbhar Bharat. Thank you very much.
Great, sir. I think thank you so much for your wonderful, the last motivation, learn from India and earn from foreign country, which the success story also you started doing from Egypt market. So
Yes.
really, thank you so much for your wonderful this thing. One last question to Mr. Sai. I think one question people are asking from drone industry, how do you calculate the airframe structures on the drones? Could you please help us in this, or Mr. Sai?
Yeah, I couldn't get that question. Can you just repeat
The
it?
question is how to calculate the life of the airframe
Uh-huh.
for the drones.
See, normally during the if it is related to the certification process that is being asked by by either the civilian or the defense system, this is a theoretical calculation which will have to be done primarily on base of simulation models and your design criteria. There is no physical tests that are really feasible to test as of now. But I think based on your design drawings and simulating those design drawings, and there are simulating tools that are available online by which you can definitely calculate the airframe life based on simulated conditions. Of course, this is being accepted for certification, and this would be primarily be the system that would be accepted for certification.
Great. Thank you so much. I think we have covered all the questions. So, Minamam, shall I take the vote of thanks?
Yes, Franklin, please.
Yeah, great. Thank you so much. The wonderful speakers, Mr. Sundaram, having more than 35 years of experience in the aerospace industry, and Aditya, I missed his name, I think Aditya. Okay, he has told about the certification process and everything, and also
Gokul.
Sorry, Gokul. I'm so sorry about it.
Gokul.
Gokul has presented nicely about the type approval process, the definition of design organization, manufacturing organization. I think our people have got understood the process and procedures, how to make use of it. Thank you so much to the Salem Aerospace Company. And thanks to Mr. Sai. I'm a little afraid after seeing your presentation that no more we have a guns. I think everywhere the electronic beam or anything is going to hit us. So we should be, 5G means we were thinking only the mobile phones. Now the 5th generation, the defense technology is going to scare people, and already started doing it. Anyhow, nicely you presented about the technology. Also, you told about that you are ready to accept the member companies to be a part of your supply chain. Thank you so much for this wonderful thing. And I would like to thank Ms. Meena Goyal to host this event in her busy schedule. Thank you so much. Even she was busy today. So thank you so much, Ms. Meena Goyal. And I would like to thank Mr. Saravanan, who is at the back end of our operation, who is the executive assistant who support us in coordinating, designing the brochure, designing, sending emails, everything. Thank you to Saravanan. Last, thanking all the participants who have participated, waited for almost 90 minutes, understood all our, we try to answer all your questions. If anything we missed it, please text us or please send an email ea@aidat.in so that we try to answer. We'll try to get information from Mr. Sai or from Mr. Sundaram, and we'll try to answer it. Thank you everyone for your wonderful this thing. Our request is that AIDAT is a non-profit association work for the aerospace industry. Please do register in AIDAT for a membership and get benefit out of it to create an ecosystem. Jai Hind, and thank you so much.
I would like to add, please ask your suppliers also to join. I'm sure they will also benefit, right, Franklin?
Definitely. Thank you so much. And we will learn from India and learn from foreign. Thank you so much, Jai Hind.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you,
Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Excellent program.
Thanks a lot.
Yes. Thank you, sir. Thank you.